guys, how's it going? So we've got the trucks all loaded up with the most beautiful cannas. This is 2 loads of many today. We're heading down to our local community college to do a huge planting day. I'm hoping we get it all done today. I'm not sure that we actually will. What we've got left to do are 8 large flower beds around a fountain in a courtyard, and they're large. And then we've got a really long flower bed next to a greenhouse, and then 1 container. And look at these cannas. So we're dealing with toucan yellow and toucan coral. So a whole bunch of yellows in this truck and a whole bunch of corals in this one.
They look good.
Aren't they pretty?
Yeah,
Did you know that these aren't the only ones that we're taking? We've got 10 more flats of cannas.
You've got other stuff too.
Yeah, a lot. Right, a lot. So we're gonna head down, start unloading trucks. I'll start placing plants. Amy is going to be joining us along the way to help out. And then we're just gonna be running back and forth to the house to bring all the plants down, because we don't really want to start digging holes and planting until everything's kind of placed, because we've got a lot of beautiful things we're going to be working with today. A lot of supertunias, a lot of plain the blue salvia, Lady Godiva yellow calendula, sweet potato vine, whole bunch of stuff. So let's head down. Okay, we have arrived. So this is the courtyard right in the center. There was a fountain. They're going to redo it to where it's a disappearing fountain instead of having a reservoir. But there are 2 rectangular shaped beds at each corner. So that makes 8 altogether. So 2, 4, 6, and then 8. And they already have stuff in them. There are crabapple trees. There's a perennial grass in here. There's salvia that looks really good this time of year. And then there is Rudbeckia as well. So that's a late season bloomer that comes in bright yellow. So that's something we do consider when we plant in here. So these 2 beds have trees as well. Let's see, these 2, there's 1 tree, but it's not quite as established, not as old. And then same kind of goes for over here. There's 1 tree in one of the beds, so we do have to create kind of a centerpiece in these 2. You know, we could work on putting more perennial interest in these beds, but this is a central area, and I know we get a lot of questions about why we don't use more perennials, but they want high impact color in this space. So if you have a bone structure in there already, you've got the trees, you've got some perennial grass and a few perennials, then we come and plug in annuals that they kind of bring the show for the rest of the season, because like today the salvias look amazing, but usually about this time when we have typical weather, we've been having much cooler weather than typical, by about this time or a little bit later, you have to shear them back, and then you are lacking color in those spots. And it's like that for most perennials. Most perennials don't look good for the entire season like annuals do. So that's why we go in with as many annuals as we do. So you can see these beds are much more empty than the others, so we'll utilize a lot more flowers. There are some volunteer sunflowers. We had Syncredibles in here last year. We'll probably just leave those alone. Oh, and oh my goodness, I had heated up yellow gaillardias in here last year too, and there are 3 that have come back. That's exciting. Boy, our containers are already looking like the plants are wanting to fill it in a little bit more than when we planted them. That's exciting too. You know, and then we have beds like this one. There's a ton of salvia in it. The crabapple is a lot bigger, so we just don't have as much space in this one to fill. Oh, there's another gaillardia from last year. Okay, so what we're gonna do, like I said, is start unloading these plants. I'm gonna start placing them, kind of dispersing what we've got so that we've got kind of even colors in each one of these beds. And then we're just gonna be going back and forth, getting more plants, placing, and then we'll start to plant. And I'll probably show you before we start planting what I got going on. Oh my goodness, you guys. Look at all of these beautiful plants. I started to place the yellow cannas in that bed, and then we decided it would be helpful to have everything that we had planned for this space here. So that's what we've got. And I wanted to just take a moment before we get it all placed just to show you how gorgeous it all is. So the toucan, yellow and coral cannas, there's some here and some over there. We've got plain the blue salvia, one of my very favorite annuals. You can already see there's honeybees on it. It's awesome. We have Supertunia Vista Jazzberry, which is a very cool pink. I think it'll look really good here. We've got Lady Godiva yellow calendulas, which are just a really tough plant, and they're just kind of a medium size. So they'll be a step down from the plain the blues before you get to like the alyssum, which this has been kept in too much shade. So it just needs to be out in the sun and it'll start coloring up. This is what it looks like right here. That is a good representation. This is the Violet Night Lobularia. Sweet Alyssum. So it just needs full sun, you guys. We had it underneath the ash tree in our driveway. It's too much shade. Then we've got Vertigo Pennisetum, which I'm gonna use as our centerpiece plants over in those 2 beds that don't have trees. Supertunia Vista Snowdrift. Probably just need these right here. If we planted those evenly in all these beds, these would probably fill them up all by themselves. Supertunia Vista Bubblegum right here. Another really wonderful, tough, super fast growing, full of color plant. How are the potato vines coming?
Great, we're done.
Nice.
We're ready.
So we've been pulling all of the tags before we bring them out here and set them, because there's usually 2 tags in each pot, and that can take quite a long time if you've already had them all spread out. So we've got Sweetheart Lime Sweet Potato Vine, and then the Kiwi Sweet Potato Vine as well. You can see the difference. This one's a little more on the yellow side. This one's more of a cool green. This one's got a different shaped leaf than this one, more of heart shape on that one. And then look at all these cannas. Oh my goodness. Okay, so basically what I'm gonna do is add up what I have, divide it by 8, and then I'm gonna have to tailor it either a little bit more or a little bit less depending on how many plants are already in each one of these beds. But we're gonna get them placed and planted, then I'll tour you through. One other thing, we are not gonna be adding anything, no fertilizer or amendments, no compost, because they just worked a bunch of stuff into these beds. So we're good to go on that front, which will save us a step. Kind of nice. Okay, now let's do this. Planted up and they look so beautiful. I cannot wait to see these fill in. I mean, look at these flower beds. Oh, they already look full and gorgeous, but imagine when the cannas start to beef up and get taller, the Vertigo Pennisetum, gets really big and it's a striking centerpiece, and all of these Supertunias fill in and start spilling over the side. It's just gonna be absolutely phenomenal. I think this is a really fun blend of plants. So we're just gonna walk through really quick. I'll show you each one of the beds. They're all fairly similar because, we used repeats of the same plants, but they're a little bit different in that, some of them have trees in them and they're placed a little bit different. Some of them have perennials, and some of them we use the Vertigo Pennisetum as our centerpiece plant. So point of reference, there is a large parking lot here, and then this is kind of the entrance on this side. Oh, here comes my brother. He teaches here at the college, and Aaron and the kids are down here as well. So this is how you enter from this side. We typically pull in over here and start planting on that side, but I just wanted to give you a little bit of a different perspective. Also, this is the first time Aaron noticed bald cypress. There are 4 in here, and that's why we have 3 of them in our garden, because he just fell in love with these trees last year when we planted down here. Okay, so this bed here already had some rocks, some decorative rocks, which actually look beautiful after the water has well, we got a little bit of rain, so it's pooled right there. There's some perennial grass and then some perennial salvia in here, but the rest of it is all annuals this year. So I'm guessing they're going to be planting a tree like right in here at some point in both this bed and the one over there, because they were the only two without trees. But in the meantime, these vertigos will get 6 to 8 feet tall. This is what we used last year and they were absolutely beautiful. So what I tried to do was just bounce different colors around. So there's a grouping of 3 yellow cannas, 3 coral cannas. There's a grouping of 7 coral right there, a big drift of yellow that start right here and go around that way. Oh, isn't that gonna be awesome? And then I just kind of went every other, like kind of a pattern with the annuals. You know, we've got the snowdrift, we've got the jazzberry, the bubblegum, and the sweet potato vine. So they will all grow and kind of grow together and spill over the side and just be a beautiful blend of color. Oh, and we do have, of course, the plain the blue salvia, which is our kind of middle of the ground plant in terms of size. We'll have the vertigos being the tallest, then the cannas, then the plain the blues, then the calendula, Lady Godiva yellow, which I just did little groupings and made sure that they were away from the yellow cannas. I want to make sure that the color is kind of separated. And then all of the trailers are around the edges. This side is a little bit smaller than the other, so we didn't use quite as many plants in this one, but this one does have a crabapple. It also has stones and a perennial grass. It does get big and beautiful. So that's a really pretty one to have as kind of a nice soft filler in there. And then just the same kind of deal, you know, a grouping of 3 yellow cannas, 3 coral, a big grouping of yellow over here, and so on and so forth. Hey, baby girl. She's so happy to be out here. Hi. Hi. Come here, babe. Okay, let's run over to this corner quick. Come on, baby. Okay, so again, this bed did not have a tree in it, or does not have a tree in it. So we've got 2 groupings of 3 vertigos, which are back in here and right over here. And then there are stones and the perennial grass and some perennial salvia, which again, you can see that this one's starting to, this is May Night is the variety, and it's starting to peter out. So this one's gonna have to be sheared back. And again, that's why we use a lot of annuals, because it looks pretty for a few weeks and then you shear it back, and it really doesn't bloom quite as profusely with the second flush of blooms later in the season. So it's just fun to have some plants with big color in here. Okay, this bed right here, a large crabapple, more established, some May Night salvia in there and stones and the perennial grass, and then a mixture of the stuff that we planted. There were in several of the beds some of the this is the heated up yellow gaillardia that we put in last year that came back. So exciting. So I just left those and kind of added my calendula near them. Okay, now we're heading over to these other beds. Look at those bald cypress though. Aren't those awesome? So again, grass, stones, crabapple, grass, stones, crabapple, salvia, and then a mixture of the plants we put in. I'm gonna stand from the other direction so we can see it in a different light. That's a little bit loud. I don't know how much is picking up in my mic, but anyway, morning sun hitting on this side of the bed right now. Everything's looking nice. And this year I kind of knee-jerked and ordered a lot more plants than last year, because last year when we planted down here, I did not anticipate how many plants it was actually going to take, and we ended up having to raid my kind of personal stash of plants for other projects that we had going on, either at our own house or at other places, just to get these beds filled. So I made sure we had enough, which I'm glad we did, because we still need to plant the bed down at the greenhouse. We'll do that at the beginning of next week, and one other container here, which we're going to have to use some of these plants for those, because I did order some sunflowers and there was a little bit of a hiccup with the order and I didn't get them. So we'll use all the extra plants over there. It actually worked out great. And the last 2 beds right over here. You can see all the containers up against the building there. All the colors just kind of marry together nicely. Last year I did a little bit more kind of willy-nilly in terms of color choice, and this year I went with all cool colors, pretty much. I'd have to go back and check for sure, but I think I used a lot of cool colors in these flower beds, but like in the containers in the center, right by these flower beds, I did red, white, and blue, which is fun, but it didn't like 100% go together, and I kind of wanted everything to have a pink vibe this year, just so it kind of looked like it went together. Did I do some reds? I'm trying to think if I used any red or anything like that. Did you find some sticks? That's exciting. Are those for me? Thank you. Yeah. Anyway, I can't remember what I was saying, except for I did use some double up red begonias in a pot near the Science Center because it was a pot all by itself. So it wasn't fighting with any colors near it. So that is going to be it for this project. And oh, I was so thankful to have Rosa and Amy here. Honestly, that was a game changer. Having more hands just really does make a huge difference. So while I was placing plants, Amy and Rosa started in with the auger and planting the beds that I had already set the plants out in. So by the time I was done setting up plants, I think they had the first couple of beds, like all the little plants were in the ground. And anyway, and then we just kind of came together in the end and just got them all done. We used 2 different sizes of auger. I used the 3.5 inch auger that's 36 inches tall. Awesome. Don't have to bend over at all. You can just, zip holes for all the 4-inch plants. And then I think I used, was it a 7-inch auger for the bigger, the 1 gallon size cannas, which I honestly didn't think I was going to get such big cannas. I thought I was getting 4-inch ones. So it's kind of nice to have some bigger plants to start with for those kind of more centerpiece touches. We will come down mid-season and probably end of season to give you guys a look at how everything has filled in. It's just kind of a fun project because it's a completely different application than what I'm normally planting. And it's a learning process. I learned from last year how to plan a little bit better for this year. And I think every year that we do projects like this, you just kind of hone your organization and how you go about doing it. And I know that every year we do projects like this, we realize getting as much help as we can to get them done really does make a huge difference, and it makes it a huge joy because it's fun to do stuff with other people. You can chat the whole time, and you get it done a lot faster too. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. We'll have one more planting day down here. I think at the same time we're going to go plant all the containers down at the church that Aaron and I go to. We're going to go to the relief nursery and plant the pots there. Kind of the last push of getting the annuals out from at least our own house. I still have a lot to do there. I still have spring planters going, but it's been so cool that the pansies still look good, and I just don't have the heart to pull them yet. So anyway, thank you guys for watching, and we will see you in the next one.